The distinguish between right and wrong, appropriate and inappropriate, and good and bad. The distinguish the knowledge is given by the ethics. So it is a branch of philosophy, and ethics is a normative science. And what is the difference between normative and positive science? The positive science is the what is give focus on what is, and there are certain input and certain outcome and our output. So we increase repo rate, then certain outcome complex. This is the positive science. And what is the normative science? What should do, what ought to be, is the normative science. So ethical focus in normative science. Then comes the what is the morality. So the morality is individual set of principles. These are guides belief, the thoughts, attitude, behavior and action. And morality is internal compass. Then comes the what is the difference between ethics and morality. So the definition, ethics is related to societal code, and the morality is individual in nature. Then the impact, the ethics impacts the whole society and societal norm, but the morality is in personal character. Then what is the locus? So the ethics is an external locus, but the morality is an internal locus. Then the subjectivity, ethics have lower subjectivity and morality have higher subjectivity. Then practice, though ethics is more theoretical, and morality is more practical in nature. Then comes we have the priorities of law, ethics and morality. So first priority is given to administrative law and conduct rules. Then comes the second priority to administrative ethics, the values and principle. Then comes the last priority is given to personal beliefs beyond the duty, and it depend on discretion. For example, in a late night accidental car, so you have the moral choice, so whether to go or not. So in the crowd control and the personal commands by the crowd, your moral character decide your reaction. Then the hierarchy, which is the law, ethics and morality. Then comes the consequence and importance of ethics. So the at individual level, what is the importance and consequence of ethics? So the first is the it is source of identity. The man who is more ethical, it defines his identity. Then comes the it help in achieving higher goals and self realization. And without the ethics, every the one individual is selfishness and lack of purpose with without ethics. Then the societal context. So ethics enhance the trust and cooperation, and it make social capital and networking, and it leads to an equitable society. And without ethics, everywhere in society, faith, fear, hatred, crime, and indifference all over the society. Now, what is at the organizational level? So it improves the efficiency and productive of organization, and it leads to customer satisfaction and good work culture. Without ethics, there is corruption, inefficiency, and loss of trust. Then comes the at the national level. So the secularism, rule of law, justice, and constitutional ideals. Without ethics, and in nation, the communal right, regionalism, civil war, casteism, and many more problems faced. So at the international level, so international ethics maintain peace and cooperation, free and fair trade, and humanitarian aid. Without ethics, terrorism, imperialism, refugeism, protectionism, tariff war are there. So then comes the what is the ethics versus law. So the Sometimes ethics and law are counter each other, like the Gandhian civil disobedience movement. So civil disobedience movement is ethical, but the against the law prevail that time. Then comes the Nazi persuasion. So it was legal but not ethical. And the like the anti-corruption is legal and ethical as well. Then comes the types of ethics. What are the types of ethics? So there is three types of meta ethics. So meta ethics decide the nature of ethical properties and the judgments and meaning of the moral terms in good and right. And it focus on the universality versus subjectivity, moral realism and versus anti-realism. Then comes the normative ethics. So the it said the moral standard of right and wrong in conduct. Theories like deontology, teleology and virtue ethics are in there, and what should be. Then comes the applied ethics. So applied ethical principle is a specific issue. For example, bioethics in abortion and euthanasia, and business ethics in sports ethics. So the on the basis of the certain condition, the applied ethics take place. Then comes the normative ethics theories. There are three theories: teleological or conscientialism, and deontologism, your the duty based, and the virtue ethics. So teleological. So the teleological is the morality based on outcome and consequence. The ethical egoism means self interest. Unitarianism means the greatest good of greatest number. And hedonism is a preserve of oneself, is studied in teleological. Then comes the deontological, duty based. So morality based on duty and rules with. And the Kant's categorical imperative is the key in the deontological study. So the virtue, what is the virtue ethics? The focus on the character and virtue. If you have the certain knowledge and character, and you have the habit and the practice of certain virtue, then you are virtuous, and your acts are also ethical. So the focus on moral character and virtue. The Socrates give the knowledge as virtue. Plato give four virtues: wisdom, courage, temperance and justice. And Aristotle give the contagious. Aristotle give the, and Confucius also give the theory of virtue. So comes the ethical concept. What are the ethical concept? So psychology, the psychological egoism contain the human are inherently selfish. Humans are selfish and concerned with individual advantage, pleasure and welfare. For example, Jaichand is the example of the selfishness, inner selfishness. The human is a animal. But the example of Pannadhai is the counter example of this psychological egoism. Then comes the ethical egoism. So people ought to act in their self-interest. Maximum happiness and minimum unhappiness is the wantable. So proponents Hobbes, Maudeville, and Adamski are the proponents of the ethical egoism. Then comes the, it can lead to ethical and unethical action. And the example is the fight completely mill, means self-respect. So then comes the societal contract theory. So the individual give liberty for protection by sovereign. Purpose is the order and security. The thinkers are Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau. So it is the basis of governance. So what is the societal contract theory? The constitution is a type of contract, and the individual have give the liberty and certain things by the contract. Then comes the moral relativism. So what is the moral relativism? Moral judgment relative to individual and society. not universally applicable. The type of this moral judgment are the more subjective, more subjectivism, because it have personal opinion, and cultural relativism means more cultural norms. Then comes the promote tolerance risks of injustice. Example, instant triple talaq is law, but the Supreme Court have the rules against it. Then come the moral absolutism of the objectivism. So the universal moral principle exists true for all time and place. Example, the some deontological theories. So this doctrinalism or determinism means human decision determined by external factor like environment, genes, brain, time, custom, place, circumstance, and law, and means and ends and actors. Then what is the example? The meat shop encounter. It is example of upbringing, who upbringing in a vegetarian family, he opposed the meat shop. Then comes the sati. It is based on the custom, and the juvenile justice is based on the circumstance. On circum, one have the different opinion against the juvenile justice. The unsound mind is example of the law. What should be uh, the punishment for the unsounded mind criminals. Then come doctrine of the freedom of will. So individual have freedom to choose action. Therefore, responsibility of action is on the individual. So the condition of the freedom of will is alternative available, capacity of to act, and awareness of circumstance. Then comes the what is the example of the freedom of will is the criticism. True freedom may not exist necessarily. True freedom is not available at any there is not absolute freedom. Aristotle on free will, they give the concept of will. Then comes the doctrine of double effect. So action can have both positive and negative effect. So the self defense can save life, but can also kill the other. And factory give job, but there is pollution as well. So ethical permissibility depend on the intent and proportionality. So then comes the value. What are the value? So the values are means and end, related to means and end. Some values depend on means, and some depend on ends. So the value can be means instrumental, and value can be the ends, the interesting. Example, money can be mean, but it is the instrument to the final value like happiness or helping her. Then comes the hierarchy of value. There's a certain hierarchy, means highest priority is given to ultimate value, and the second priority given to instrumental value. So what is the type of value based on the objective? So the universal value like truth, freedom, and happiness. Then comes the subjective values like cultural value or tolerance, and they are different for different persons. Then come the hierarchical value. So universal, then organization, then democratic values, and human values. Then comes the source of values are internal source, means the based on the mere morality, internal source and spirituality. Then the external source based on the ethics, then with respect. Then comes sectoral. So economic values, environmental value, scientific value, administrative value, political value, and democratic value. Then comes the key value, memory aid, it of T PR DP. So empathy, equity, accountability, temperance, objectivity, fairness, fortitude, tolerance, transparency, prudence, integrity, compassion, courage, discipline, resilience, adaptability, generosity, obligation, non-violence, forgiveness, loyalty, leadership, imperative, scientific temper, humanity, and justice and kindness. So these are the values. Then comes the what is the administrative value. So the nonal committee gives some seven type of values. So there are the integrity, accountability, selflessness, and honesty, openness, objectivity, and leadership. So IAS HOOL. So IS whole. So IAS HOOL. Integrity, accountability, selflessness, and honesty, openness, and objectivity, and leadership. Then comes the second ARC. Give some this values. So dedication to public service, ठीक है, imperativity and impartiality, political neutrality, and anonymity, and the obligation toward the rule of law. So the mnemonic is DIPA wo. Okay. Then comes the virtue. Vice means big. So big silent against the wrongdoing, violence. So what is the violence, sloth, laziness, apathy, indifference, corruption, rashness, impatience, injustice, flattery, insanity, cunningness, extravagance, disloyalty, hatred, arrogance, and greed. These are the bad values. So what is the